Hi, this is Marita from Movie Soup with Pearl Juice, and today I'm bringing a review of the one-shot manga, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, by Nagata Kabi. This was originally a kind of like public diary of sorts, where Miss Kabi was publishing it in snippets on the internet, and it became a huge success, and then it was published in manga form, and its own voices, mental health, and lesbian presentation. Before I start the review, I should maybe give out some trigger warnings. I would not recommend that you read this if you are triggered by self-harm, eating disorders, or if, for instance, you don't like reading unproblematic depictions of prostitution. Those are all present in this manga. While I did enjoy this manga quite a bit, one of the things that I was a little bit caught off guard with was just how, honest of course, but how brutal this graphic memoir is in a way, because as I mentioned, it deals with eating disorders and self-harm, and the way this was marketed was kind of like a tragic comic, kind of like, oh, things are difficult, but it's okay. It's just kind of funny. And this manga is not funny at all. It's a lot to stomach. So just so you know that before you start reading this. So this tells the story of Miss Kabi, who, when the book starts, she is unemployed and she is dealing with a symptom where she can't eat. She can't bring herself to eat. And then later on, she starts to binge eat, which causes problems with that she can't keep jobs. And while she is struggling with her mental health and trying to keep a job, then she is also struggling with her relationship with her parents, because she really wants to prove herself to them. And regardless of what she does, it doesn't seem to really impress them. And at the same time, she's having problems with her sexuality, where she, probably a little bit due to her mental health problems, she has trouble relating to people and has never really had any relationships or sex. And this leads to her hiring a lesbian prostitute to have a sexual experience with. This manga is very different from other manga in that it is very brutally honest, and it's very much talking about really heavy subjects, and she's being very straightforward. She's saying things exactly how they are. Like, for instance, one thing that I think is always kind of missing a little bit when we talk about eating disorders is that we always talk about eating disorders where people are trying to not eat or refuse to eat, but there's also eating disorders where people binge eat, and this manga actually depicts that a person with eating disorders can actually suffer from both symptoms. That I really appreciated. There's also this depiction of unemployment and how difficult it is when you are a young person to try and figure out what you want to do with your life, because we kind of do live in a society where we're told all the time that we should work, but we're also told that we have to follow our dreams. These are big contradictions. And how Miss Kabi discusses that in this manga is really good. She talks about continually trying to find work that she is actually unhappy with, just so that she can live up to an expectation that she has perhaps put on herself, but of course society has also kind of forced on her. And how it's kind of weird because, like, for instance, when she goes to these job interviews and is trying to get a job, and they ask her, like, well, what do you actually like? And she's like, well, I like manga. And then they're telling her, like, oh, we should try and do that. I thought that that was a really clever social commentary. I also liked how she was very honest about her relationship to her parents, and this pressure of trying to live up to your parents really resonated with some people that I knew. And it doesn't really get a lot of depiction in main comics or main manga. So that I really appreciated. There's also a fair bit of very sexually explicit content in here, so if you want to stay clear from that, then even though, to be fair, that kind of is already on the cover, so Yeah, so maybe that's not so much of a spoiler. Otherwise, I have to say, like, this is very different from a lot of the other manga, and while perhaps it has certain problems, then I really appreciate it for being a own voices depiction of mental health problems, as well as an own voices depiction of being a lesbian. Because a lot of manga has LGBTQ themes in them, but they're very often not own voices. And I'm kind of hoping that the success of this manga will kind of lead to more manga written by LGBTQ authors being translated. That would be awesome. So, that was my review of my lesbian experience with loneliness. Have you guys read this manga? Did you have any thoughts about it? I would love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below. If you liked this video, click the like button, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!